Hi, I'm Tim Fryar, pastor of Christ Center Church, and you're watching Christ Center TV on YouTube. Thanks for taking the time to visit us here on YouTube. I pray that this 15 minutes will be a blessing to you. Would you send out a link to maybe 5 or 10 of your friends, letting them know that this site is a great site for them to come and receive a word from the Lord? I think this 15 minutes will be ideal for morning devotion, for your lunch break, or in the evenings right before you go to bed. So let them know, come in, get connected here on Christ Center TV on YouTube. Hey, let's go over to the sanctuary. Let's hear a word from the Lord. And if you would, get your pen and your pad and your paper, your Bible, maybe your iPad or your iPhone, however you take your notes. Would you get that? Get ready to hear what the Lord has to say. And I'll be back at the end of this message. We'll see you then. You can bank on it as long as the earth remains. Now, here is the deal, though. Let's talk about it. It's seed time, which means as long as the earth remains, there is going to be a time for you to plant something. Okay? Here is the deal. Consciously or unconsciously, you're planting something. Now, let's talk about what's up. We'll stay with the theme of money. Let's talk about it. We understand that as I give, Lord, I'm sowing into your kingdom, so forth and so on. Not only, though, are you sowing your money, but you're also sowing faithfulness and faithful stewardship. You see? It's not just one fold. It is a multifaceted seed that goes into the earth when you sow. To the same degree, when you don't sow. When you do not give, you're sowing disobedience. You're sowing unfaithfulness. You're sowing, hopefully I'm going to try to put all this together, untrustworthiness. Okay? Because what it's saying is I can't trust you with what's already mine. You're sowing all that into the ground when you don't give. Either way, you're sowing, and either way, you'll have a harvest. Because as long as the earth remains, there's going to be seed time and harvest. If it's time for you to sow, when you open up your eyes, it's time to sow. What will you sow? What's going to go in the ground tomorrow morning when you open your eyes? You understand what I'm saying? One thing we try to do in the mornings, we try to make sure, regardless of how we went to sleep, we try to make sure we say good morning. And then we try to hug before the day starts. The boys ain't up. Wherever she is in there ironing clothes, if I'm brushing my teeth, when we lay eyes on each other, we say good morning, and we hug. I got to sow that. See that? I'm sowing kindness. I'm sowing peace and love. I'm sowing concern and caringness, if that's a word. You understand? So everything we do, we're sowing something that is going to bring up a harvest. Now, let's talk about what this harvest brings. Turn over to Isaiah chapter 55. I'm just about done. It's going to be record time tonight. Too bad all them sick people, the naysayers that say I can't do it, they sick. We got video, though. We're going to be able to show them. AJ. It ain't over. Keisha said, it ain't over. Isaiah, give me Isaiah chapter 55. Look at verse 10, please. For as the rain comes down and the snow from heaven, and do not return there, but water the earth, and make it bring forth a bud, which is a harvest, that it may give what? Seed to the sower, and what? And bread to the eater. So here it is. Here it is. When the harvest comes up in your life for two reasons. To give you something to continue the behavior that you've already had, seed, and to give you something to live off of, bread. That's the reason harvest comes up in your life. You will always have, regardless of what comes up, an opportunity to sow it again, and you're going to have to live off of it. Now, as it relates to the good stuff that we want, you got to discern, Lord, how much of this do I put back into the ground, and how much of this do I consume and live off of? How much of this do I just say, hey, I'm earning my living? And that's been my prayer over our church, that we understand and discern that out of what comes up, I got to sow it and live off of it. Here is the thing. If you are not wise enough, you'll mess up and you'll eat what you should be sowing. If you eat it all, there is no more harvest. Not of that thing. Are you hearing what I'm saying to you? So when that harvest comes up in your life, it's like you say, I got a raise and a bonus. Boom, big harvest. Lord, how do I operate off this? What should I put back in the ground? Okay? I want to say Ecclesiastes says, cast your bread upon the waters, and in many days it will come back to you. Okay? Casting your bread upon the waters is a faith move, but we're talking about investment right there. And that in many days it will come back to you. So that is, again, harvest. What we put down will come up, and you then have to decide, okay, let me be a wise steward. Because some of this I got to put back in the ground so I can keep having a harvest. Okay? If I do not make wise choices, I will kill this fruit in my life. Are you hearing what I'm saying? If I get a ton of apples from a harvest, if I don't from those apples get apple seeds to put back in the ground again, eventually trees will die, okay, from rot, termites, or whatever, and I have to keep perpetuating that cycle of trees so I can keep that fruit alive in my life, okay? That's why we have animals in the earth that are extinct, because if they're not multiplying after their own kind, then we keep killing them off. They no longer exist on the face of the earth. If you're going to have a harvest of stuff that's positive and good in your life, stuff you want to live off of, you're going to have to be discerning to put it back in the ground. To the same degree, if you want money to keep springing up in your life, you keep being wise enough to take half of that, put it back down in the ground. Take a portion of this, put it back in the ground. Watch, it's going to keep coming up in your life. Money. And who don't want money to keep springing up? But if you're not wise enough to put it in the ground, you're going to wonder why I just can't seem to hold on to no money. I can't seem to get enough money. Every time I get a raise, I just get, you know what? The most aggravating thing is to look at your life and realize you got a raise, but you ain't seen none of it in your life. Nothing to show for it. That's aggravating. That's because if you're not wise enough to start putting some more of it back into the ground, keep sowing, being faithful, so it can keep coming up. Because here's the deal. Money needs to be able to come up in your life in different places. That's called multiple streams of income. You got to be able to put it down so it'll come up in different places. Are you hearing what I'm saying to you? And if you keep eating it all, it's going to come up in another place. Are you hearing what I'm saying to you? And when I say that, I mean, I'm not talking about physical now. I'm keep talking about, now you got a lot of stuff, and you living fat on the land, but in a minute, it's going to dry up. And if you don't put it in the ground, God, listen, if you don't put it in the ground, we're not giving God anything to work with. Ezekiel, I'm done. Go to Ezekiel. Give you this last one, and we're going to be finished. Ezekiel chapter 36. Look at it, says, I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you will keep my judgments and do them. He is talking now, again, children of Israel, trying to restore them, get them back to a right place, and he's making some promises to them. Keep going. Watch this. Then you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers. You shall be my people, and I will be your God. I will deliver you from all uncleanness, and I will, watch this, I will call for the grain and multiply it, and I will bring no famine among you or upon you. I will multiply the what? Fruit of your trees and the increase of your fields, so that you need never again bear the reproach of famine among the nations. Here's amazing. This is amazing. He did not say that I will multiply your seed. He said, I will multiply your fruit, which means there has to be seed already in the ground for him to call a multiplication on it. Are you hearing what I'm saying? He says, I will increase your fields. I will increase what comes up out of the ground, but you got to first put some in the ground. And we keep wanting God to just call seed out of nowhere and plant it for us. He says no, because the one time in your life when you were wise, the harvest that came up, you were supposed to take some seed and put it back in the ground. And when you put it in the ground, I'll call multiplication to come upon what you've already planted. But if you don't have any seed in the ground, what am I going to call? I'm not calling seed. The harvest brought you seed. I'm calling for multiplication of what you've planted. In other words, I can't multiply what you've not put in the ground. And I tell you, that's how we operate. When I get a little extra money, I make sure not only do I sow to the church, but I put it in people's hands that I know is good ground, because I want him to multiply what I'm planting. I can't just be one of those farmers just standing in the middle of the field and be like, Lord, would you just make some stuff come up? The Lord says, come on, let's work together here. That's how I operate. The way I operate is, if you want salvation, you confess and believe, I'll save you. See? And we work together. It's a partnership. To the same degree, when you put some stuff in the ground, I will make sure what comes out of it is enough for you. But if it's not, after all, Paul says it like this: if you sow sparingly, you're going to reap sparingly. Now, you got to ask yourself, how am I reaping? How am I reaping? Because if for some reason we get amnesia when it comes to how we sowed. But the reminder is always how you reap. Okay, because pastors start talking about people not giving, and you start saying, well, that ain't me. I look at the giving record and say, yeah, that's you. You'd be like, no, that's not me. Okay, you know what? Let's not argue. How you reaping? Because how you reaping is going to tell us how you sowed. You keep struggling all your life? Let's talk about how that's a reaping. That's telling us how you've sown. And the way God operates is, he wants to make sure that what we put in the ground, he multiplies in such a way that famine is nothing that we have to deal with. Hey, I trust that the message was a blessing to you. Thanks again for spending this time with us. I'd like to invite you to our church. Our church is Christ Center Church, 6472 Church Street. That's Douglasville, Georgia. We're about 20 minutes west of downtown Atlanta, so we'd love to see you. You can visit us on Facebook, or you can make comments right here on this YouTube page. Let us know how it's been a blessing to you. And if you have any prayer requests, you can put them out here too. We'll grab them. You can visit our site. We have prayer requests out there. We'd love to pray with you, pray for you. Whatever you need, we'd love to hear from you. Our church exists to be a spirit-filled, multicultural, worshiping community, empowering people to replace a self-centered life with a Christ-centered life. Until next time, I'm Tim Fryar, encouraging you to be Christ-centered.